Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Sorry about the sun, it should disappear. It was gone just a second ago and it should disappear again. Lots of clouds overhead. So anyway, if you're joining us for the first time, let me just introduce myself. I'm Alan Rigg, lead pastor of Sola Church. We're launching this fall in Santa Monica, California. So we're about 6 months out from our launch, which means that we can't do a lot of the things that we could do if we were going through this crisis together, say next year. But rather than focus on what we can't do, we're trying to focus on what we can do. That's probably a good idea for all of us. And what we can do as a church is we can jump online and connect with our friends in Santa Monica, on the west side of Los Angeles, and beyond, of course, across the country, around the world. And so once again today, we started yesterday, and we're just talking about this really unique thing that is happening right now. We're going through this communal experience, and we have reason and a season to pray, right? Like we've got a really good reason to pray right now. Lots and lots of things to pray about. And we've got an unprecedented opportunity to pray about those things. Like we've got, way more discretionary time than we would normally have. But a lot of people have a question about how to pray. Sometimes you start to pray and you're not even sure what to say or how to say it. When Jesus gave to his disciples what we call the Lord's Prayer, he gave us a model prayer. He gave us a way to pray. He gave us a way to say the things to God that we need to say. So each day this week, from Monday to Saturday, we're just looking at, each of the 6 petitions in the Lord's Prayer. Yesterday, we looked at the first petition, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. If you missed episode 1, I encourage you to go back and check it out. It's archived on all of our social media, even on our website under the blogs. Today we're going to look at the second petition. And so the second petition, as we find it here in Matthew chapter 6, says, Your kingdom come. Real short petition, just a phrase, just 3 words in our English translation. So I'm certain I don't have to tell you guys that things are not the way they should be, right? When you look around at the world, things are not the way they should be. Right now, as we have this pandemic, as people in countries all around the world are getting sick and many of them dying, things are not the way they should be. As many of us are not able to do what we normally do for a living. Some of us are not getting paychecks. Maybe you're not sure how you're going to make your car payment or your mortgage payment. I don't have to tell you that things are not the way they should be. As we think about how politics and even corruption has factored into the origin and the spread, and not to get crazy with conspiracy theories, but just to say that there are things that have happened as a part of this crisis that remind us that things are not the way they should be. So the ancient Hebrew prophets talked a lot about how that wouldn't always be the case. These prophets talked about how someday all these things that are wrong would be made right. This broken world that we live in would be made whole. When Jesus was here on earth, his first disciples, his first followers, they thought that he was going to inaugurate that kingdom. They didn't understand that before he came as a conquering king, he would come as a suffering servant. He identified with us in our brokenness and, of course, gave his life for us. But Jesus told his first followers that he would come again, and that when he returned, that's when all of those things the Bible talks about would take place. And so what an exciting thing that is. When we pray, Your kingdom come, we're praying that Jesus would come back. We're praying that he would fix everything that's broken, that he would take all these broken things and make them whole. But we're not just praying for his kingdom on earth, we're praying for his kingdom in our hearts. You cannot have a kingdom without a king, and you cannot have a king without subjects. So when I pray, Your kingdom come, I am also praying, my kingdom go. One thing for sure, as we think about what we're going through right now, we're reminded, and I think I said this yesterday, that we're not in control. We have thoughts and ideas and plans, but we're reminded that we don't have control over the world that we live in, or over many details of our own lives, or over the things that happen that can change things in what seems like the blink of an eye. But, it's also a reminder, what we're going through, and this phrase in the prayer, it's also a reminder that my story is part of a bigger story. Sometimes we say that history is his story. I think that's good. And I think this is a good time for us to be reminded about that. So if history is his story, then my story is not the story. My story is a small part of a much bigger story. And so when I pray, your kingdom come, I'm praying that God would have his will in my life. I'm praying that, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but I'm praying that his kingdom would be born in my heart and would grow and develop in my heart and would spill over from my heart, that again, my story would be seen by me as a part of his bigger story, and that I would be, wanting to find my place in that bigger story. Like, as we think about what's going on, what can I do? Like, God has this big arc, like the narrative of what God is doing. There's this big arc of that. So your kingdom come, that's me saying, God, where do I fit in this? What can I do? What is my part? What is my role? How can I bring light to the darkness? How can I bring hope where there's despair? How can I bring beauty where right now it feels to people like there's just ugliness? So I'm praying your kingdom come. Well, I'm praying that his kingdom would come to this earth, but I'm also praying that his kingdom would come in my heart. One more thing, I'm praying that his kingdom would come in your heart. In other words, we can pray that God's kingdom would come to the hearts of other people. A lot of times we pray for other people, right? Do you know that prayer really does make a difference? Prayer right now could make a huge difference in the life of someone that you know, someone that you love, someone that you care about. Of course, there's a lot of talk right now about China in the news. And I'm thinking of a man named Hudson Taylor. Hudson Taylor was a missionary to China many years ago, and he's always been a hero of mine. The thing I love about Hudson Taylor was that he was sort of a rebel. Like, he was rejected by the mission agencies of the day, by people who seemed to think that for those living in the Far East, they had to become Western before they could come to faith. And Hudson Taylor knew that wasn't true at all. And so Hudson Taylor immersed himself in Chinese culture. He dressed like the Chinese people, he lived like the Chinese people, and he led many of them to faith. Such a cool thing. His son, in eulogizing him, said that the sun never rose over China, but that his dad was praying for China. That's cool, right? Hudson Taylor himself said that it is possible to move men, to move the hearts of men through prayer alone. So what a powerful thing for us to be reminded that my prayers can make a difference in your life. Your prayers can make a difference in my life and in the lives of others. What an amazing opportunity we have. Again, reason to pray, a season to pray. We have an opportunity to pray for God's kingdom to come in new, life-changing ways to the people around us. And so we can be praying for our family members. We can be praying for our neighbors. We're praying for everyone in Santa Monica and on the west side. And we could be praying for people all over the world, that during this really trying, challenging time, that God would bring light in the midst of the darkness, that he would bring hope in the midst of the despair. I hope that you guys can just be encouraged by that, and that it will help you as you think about how to pray this week. I want to remind you, if you live in Santa Monica, or if you know anyone who lives on the west side, that we're going to be starting our startup parties real soon. We're going to be doing those online because of the quarantine. So again, if you're interested or someone you know is interested, visit our website, solachurch.life. Follow our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We should have an announcement this week about the first online startup party, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. And hey, join us again tomorrow. Same time, 1 o'clock, we'll look at the next phrase in the Lord's Prayer. God bless you guys.